The rhythmic dirt of the checkout lane abruptly ceased. Maya Rodriguez, her hands freezing mid-air over a half-scanned carton of milk, looked up into the furious face of Julian Vance, a tech mogul known for his ruthless ambition. He pointed a finger, his voice cutting through the store's hum, accusing her of rudeness, citing his company's new customer service analysis software as infallible proof. A hush fell over Freshmart as Julian Vance, impeccably dressed and radiating cold authority, leaned closer. "Her attitude is unacceptable," he declared, his gaze locking on the startled store manager who had rushed over. "Your system detected disengagement. She must be terminated immediately." The manager, caught between a powerful customer and his employee, shifted uncomfortably, a nervous sweat beading on his forehead. Maya's voice, though trembling, tried to cut through the mogul's arrogance. "Sir, I wasn't rude," she began, her hands clasped tight. "I was just trying to warn a customer about a spilled liquid near the deli counter for safety." Julian Vance merely scoffed, turning his back mid-sentence. "Excuses. My software is flawless. Your human error is not." The few remaining customers watched, their eyes wide with disbelief and a quiet sympathy for Maya. In the cramped, cluttered back office, the manager looked at Maya with genuine regret. "Maya, I have no choice. Customer satisfaction is paramount." He handed her termination papers, his eyes avoiding hers. Maya's world, built on careful shifts and meager paychecks, shattered around her. Her job, her sole steady income, gone. How would she face Chloe? How would she survive? She walked out into the early evening rain, her Freshmart uniform clinging to her, each drop a cold echo of the tears she refused to shed. Jobless, broken, and utterly alone, she pulled her arms around herself, the vast, impersonal parking lot stretching before her. All she could think of was Chloe, waiting at home, and the pile of overdue bills that would soon grow insurmountable. The worn apartment door creaked open, and Maya stepped into the small, familiar living room. Before she could even set down her bag, a blur of bright colors launched itself at her. "Mommy, you're home!" Chloe, all 6 years of her, wrapped tight arms around Maya's waist, her face beaming. Maya forced a smile, a mask she hoped was convincing, and hugged her daughter back, burying her face in Chloe's sweet-smelling hair. "Hi, sweet pea," she murmured, her voice a little too soft. Chloe pulled back, her bright eyes searching Maya's face. "Are you okay, Mommy? You look tired." The innocent question was a sharp, painful jab. Later that night, long after Chloe had fallen asleep clutching her worn teddy bear, Maya sat alone at the cramped kitchen table. The meager glow of the overhead light illuminated a stack of envelopes. Rent, electricity, Chloe's school supplies, all past due. She pushed them aside and opened the refrigerator. Bare shelves stared back, a stark reflection of her new reality. A wave of suffocating hopelessness washed over her. How would she feed Chloe? How would she keep a roof over their heads? One man's arrogance had not just taken her job, it had stripped away her sense of security, leaving her adrift in a sea of fear. Her gaze drifted to a small, forgotten corner of the table, where a single business card lay. A memory surfaced, hazy at first, then sharp. The chaos of the checkout lane, Julian Vance's furious voice, her own trembling hands. Then, a quiet moment, just as the manager had led her away. A woman, a few customers back in line, had watched the entire scene unfold with a look of profound concern. As Maya passed, the woman had subtly extended her hand, pressing a crisp card into Maya's palm without a word. Maya, too stunned to react, had simply clutched it. Now her fingers traced the embossed letters. "Elena Petrova, attorney at law." Maya almost laughed, a bitter, hollow sound. What good was a lawyer to her? A single mother with no savings, no power, against a tech mogul who could buy and sell cities? She considered tossing the card, letting the despair win. But then she thought of Chloe's trusting smile, of the sting of Julian Vance's condescending words, and of all the other cashiers, delivery drivers, and everyday workers who were treated as disposable. Maybe it wasn't just about her, maybe it was about standing up for more. A flicker of resolve, small but fierce, ignited within her. Taking a shaky breath, Maya picked up her phone. Her thumb hovered over the numbers on the card. This wasn't just a phone call. It was a declaration. For Chloe. For herself. With a quiet, determined nod, she dialed. The aroma of old paper and fresh coffee hung in Elena Petrova's downtown office. It wasn't a sprawling corporate space, but every book on its shelves, every framed degree, spoke of purpose. Maya sat across from Elena, clutching a tissue, her voice a low, shaky murmur as she recounted the humiliation at Freshmart. Elena listened, her gaze unwavering, a serious but kind expression on her face. As Maya finished, a flicker of outrage crossed Elena's features. "This isn't just wrong, Maya," she stated, her voice calm but firm. "This is an outright abuse of power." Maya, emboldened by Elena's conviction, detailed the entire incident, emphasizing her safety warning about the spilled cleaning solution, which Julian Vance had twisted into rudeness. Elena nodded, taking meticulous notes. "So he not only misinterpreted your professional conduct, but used a supposed AI analysis to justify a wrongful termination," Elena summarized. "We have strong grounds for wrongful termination, defamation, and potentially a case highlighting an abuse of corporate power. This isn't just about your job, Maya, it's about a principle." Maya felt a spark of unfamiliar resolve ignite within her. After Maya left, the quiet of the office settled around Elena. She leaned back, reviewing her notes, the city lights beginning to twinkle outside her window. This wasn't just another case. This was about a man who believed technology could replace human decency, who thought his wealth made him untouchable. Elena knew this fight was bigger than one cashier. It was about setting a precedent, about reminding those in power that humanity, not algorithms, defined respect. A determined expression solidified on her face. The next morning, high in his gleaming skyscraper office, Julian Vance reviewed projections on a transparent display. He smiled, a self-satisfied smirk. His customer service analysis software, he mused, was already proving its worth. The Freshmart incident? A minor, yet perfect demonstration of its efficiency in identifying, quote, problematic employees. He saw no human tragedy, only data points affirming his innovative genius. The world, Julian believed, was simply catching up to his vision. Minutes later, his assistant, a stiff, efficient woman, entered. She placed a thick, official-looking envelope on his polished desk. Julian, still basking in his technological triumph, casually tore it open. His eyes scanned the contents, and his confident smile faltered. A summons, naming Maya Rodriguez and Elena Petrova, attorney at law. He crushed the paper in his hand, his face contorting in a mixture of disbelief and sudden, searing rage. In his private conference room, Julian Vance reclined in an ergonomic chair, a picture of dismissive arrogance. His legal team, stiff in their tailored suits, listened as he waved a hand, dismissing the lawsuit as a trivial annoyance. "Crush this cashier," he ordered, his voice echoing with unchecked confidence. He believed his cutting-edge customer service analysis software was infallible, a digital oracle proving Maya's complaint utterly invalid. He saw no battle, only a nuisance to be swiftly eliminated. Yet, the story began to ripple beyond the sterile confines of Julian's office. Local news outlets picked up the tale, framing it as a modern David versus Goliath. Online forums buzzed, social media hashtags like #JusticeForMaya trending, as countless individuals shared their own stories of corporate indifference and abuse of power. A groundswell of public outrage and empathy began to form, a quiet chorus of support rising for the retail cashier who dared to stand up. Over several days, Elena Petrova's office became a hub of quiet revolution. One by one, ordinary shoppers, witnesses to the original incident, emerged from the crowd. They recounted Julian's aggressive behavior and Maya's calm professionalism, their passionate accounts steadily corroborating Maya's truth. Julian's lawyers tried to discredit them, but the witnesses' unwavering honesty held firm. Maya watched, tears welling, as strangers, moved by a sense of justice, risked their time to speak for her. One evening, a week before the trial, Maya sat with Chloe, explaining her fight for what's right with the simple analogy of a playground bully. Chloe, her eyes wide, later presented Maya with a colorful drawing of her mother as a superhero, cape flowing, protecting a smaller figure. In that innocent gesture, Maya found a renewed sense of purpose, a fierce, unwavering strength to face the battle ahead. The day before the trial, Elena's office hummed with focused intensity. Legal documents were spread across the table as Elena and Maya finalized their strategy, reviewing questions, anticipating cross-examinations. Maya was visibly nervous, her hands fidgeting, but Elena's steady gaze and calm advice were a balm. This was it. Her chance to speak her truth, not just for herself, but for every silenced voice. The grand courthouse doors loomed, a heavy oak barrier between the quiet anticipation of the hallway and the solemn gravity within. Maya Rodriguez, her heart a frantic drum against her ribs, clutched Elena Petrova's arm, stepping into a courtroom already packed to capacity. The air thrummed with hushed whispers, the clicking of media cameras and a palpable tension. Maya's gaze swept across the rows of stern faces, her small figure feeling impossibly vulnerable amidst the imposing architecture. Across the aisle, Julian Vance sat, a picture of unruffled confidence, flanked by a phalanx of expensive suits, his lawyers. A gavel struck with a sharp crack, echoing through the room, officially commencing the battle for Maya's dignity. The stern judge's presence seemed to shrink the world, making Maya feel like a tiny ship against an overwhelming tide. Julian Vance's lead lawyer, a man with a voice as smooth as polished marble and an air of untouchable authority, rose to deliver his opening statement. He moved with practiced ease, his gestures grand yet precise, as he confidently dismissed Maya's claims. He painted her as a disgruntled former employee, motivated purely by a desire for financial gain, weaving a narrative that praised Julian Vance's innovative customer service analysis software as a groundbreaking tool for efficiency. Julian beside him offered a smug nod of approval, a faint smirk playing on his lips as if the outcome were already a foregone conclusion. Maya watched, her stomach churning, the lawyer's words twisting the truth into a weapon. The sheer power and resources arrayed against her were a chilling reminder of the uphill battle she faced. Elena Petrova rose, her presence commanding attention even against the grandeur of Julian Vance's legal team. Her voice, calm yet resonating with conviction, filled the courtroom. She didn't speak of software or metrics, but of human dignity, of the fundamental right to respect, and the abuse of power that sought to strip a hardworking mother of her livelihood. Maya, seated beside her, watched Elena, a silent nod of profound trust passing between them. The jury, once appearing weary, now leaned forward, their faces attentive to Elena's impassioned plea for what was right. One by one, the shoppers took the stand. A retired teacher, a young father, an elderly woman, their diverse faces united by a shared truth. They recounted Julian Vance's aggressive demeanor, his condescending tone, and Maya's unwavering professionalism, even when facing his baseless accusations. Julian's lawyers, sharp-suited and relentless, attempted to twist their words, to paint them as biased or mistaken. But the witnesses held firm, their honest accounts a bulwark against the assault of power, each story chipping away at Julian's carefully constructed narrative. Then came Maya's moment. With a deep, steadying breath, she walked to the witness stand. Her hands, clasped tightly, trembled slightly, but her gaze was resolute. She swore an oath, her voice a quiet murmur that somehow commanded the entire room. As Elena began her questions, Maya started to tell her story, not with anger, but with a quiet, heartbreaking honesty that spoke of fear, of lost security, and of the profound injustice that had upended her world. Julian Vance, across the room, watched her intently, a flicker of something unreadable in his eyes. Maya spoke of Chloe, her daughter, of the empty fridge, and the shame of not knowing how she would provide. She spoke of the principle that no one, no matter how powerful, should be able to crush another's spirit with a whim. Her voice, though soft, carried the weight of every person who had ever been made to feel invisible. Tears welled in the eyes of several jurors. Even Julian Vance, the man who believed he could quantify human interaction, found himself unable to look away, forced for the first time to truly listen to the human cost of his arrogance. As Maya finished, a heavy silence settled over the courtroom, broken only by the soft rustle of tissues. Julian Vance remained motionless, his usual confident smirk replaced by a pale, almost stunned expression. The weight of Maya's words, amplified by the chorus of witnesses, pressed down on him. He saw in that moment not a data point, but a mother, a person whose life he had carelessly fractured. His ambition, once so clear, now seemed detached, almost cruel. The human cost of his hubris finally laid bare before him. Hours later, the jury returned. The courtroom held its breath. The foreperson's voice, clear and unwavering, pronounced the verdict in favor of Maya Rodriguez. A gasp of relief escaped Maya's lips as Elena squeezed her hand. Julian Vance's face, already pale, now seemed to crumble. The judge's order followed swiftly. Substantial damages for wrongful termination and emotional distress. Justice, in its quiet, methodical way, had spoken. On the courthouse steps, bathed in the afternoon sun, Maya stood tall. Chloe, beaming, clutched her hand, while Elena stood proudly beside her. Microphones thrust forward, cameras flashed, but Maya met them with a newfound poise. She spoke not of vengeance, but of the power of standing up, of finding your voice, and of the collective strength that empowers ordinary people against extraordinary odds. Her voice, once trembling with fear, now resonated with a clear, inspiring conviction that echoed for all to hear. Weeks later, peace had settled into Maya's small apartment. Chloe giggled as Maya read her a story, the warm glow of a lamp illuminating their faces. The financial strain had eased, replaced by a quiet sense of security. Maya looked at her daughter, a profound understanding blossoming within her. Dignity, she realized, wasn't something others could grant or take away. It was an inner strength, a flame that, once ignited, could burn brighter than any mogul's roar, forever guiding her forward.